Shine, some of the biggest names in fintech. And if you think any of those sound interesting, I would highly suggest to come check us out. Our meetings will be hopefully every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And also, if you're interested in fintech and want to create your own fintech startup, the last day to apply to Finovate is tonight. There's 8 weekly workshops where you learn how to create your own fintech startup. And at the end of it, you're pitching for your startup idea for $5,000 in cash prizes. So I highly recommend you sign up for that too.
Enough for the stuff. Yeah. My name is Allison. I'm one of the co-presidents of NEU Blockchain. So NEU Blockchain is a student-run organization that is open to grad and undergrad, where we focus on research, entrepreneurship, and education of blockchain and cryptocurrency. So if you're interested in getting more involved with the club, there's 3 paths you can take. There's research team, where you can do like hands-on research. There's tech, we're still developing that. But that's more of like, if you're interested in like the technical side and want to code, that's the second path. The third path is education. So coming to our events, including this one every Monday from 6 to 8. So from 6 to 7 would be speaker event or educational event. So like, technical workshops. And from 7 to 8, it's going to be like networking hour. If you want to spend some time, talking with the speakers, we allow time for that. And so, yeah, thank you all for coming.
All right, so over to Yusuf. He'll be moderating tonight's event. And we'll welcome Raj up from the circle.
So if anyone doesn't know who I am, I'm Yusuf. I'm co-director of research at NEU Blockchain. And so for those of you that applied to the research team, looking forward to working with you all. So I guess to start things off, how about like a little bit of background around, who you are, how you got into blockchain, into blockchain, and your time in Northeastern and starting Disrupt.
No, great question, and it was a great start. I was here 2 years ago, sitting on the other side, and I'm pretty sure all of y'all have a similar story about how y'all came across crypto. Was y'all were with a bunch of friends and just started trading or like started learning about it. That was me for when I was in sophomore year, so fast track it like 2017, and I was working at MFS Investment Management as a trade processor, so like doing a lot of legacy work, and I realized that then and there that was not going to be the future. That it is definitely not the future. The future is blockchain, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and not doing a lot of like I guess legacy financial work. So that's when I worked very closely with Mark Bernfeld, a professor at Northeastern. I'm sure a lot of y'all know him. So we met together. There was Alex Moran along with me and Julia McCarthy. We started Disrupt. The core intention of starting that student organization was to build a very strong fintech community on campus. And it seems like they have done a great job as of now as well. So, I'm happy to see so many faces here. Blockchain Club was there, and Bennett's done a great job at rising it right now. But yeah, no, I graduated December 2019, started working at a fintech startup called Elson, which also came out of Northeastern. What they did was just basic financial data management. So a lot of big asset managers, they digest data and they buy data with millions and millions of dollars. And how do they access it? Via SQL. Takes them, if not days, sometimes weeks to get, a lot of data out. And what Elson did was made a platform as a service. You could run at least 1 gigabyte of data in 7 minutes or something like that. And but hey, no, I was always passionate about blockchain, cryptos. I was passionate about Circle even when I was about to graduate. And Circle at that time was not hiring. They were just like a team of 40 or 50 folks, and today we are around 405. So been growing rapidly. And I would say one of the main reasons that happened was USDC.
All right, so maybe just to start things off, could you maybe explain to those who don't know what the importance of something like a stablecoin like USDC is?
Yeah, no. So how many of y'all know what happened at Bretton Woods. Okay, basically there was a gold reserve, right? Back in the days when $1 or how much ever US dollar the federal government printed, they had equivalent gold reserves in their reserves. And after like 1973 or something like that, President Nixon went ahead and removed the gold standard. And that's when the US dollar was called a fiat currency, right? What is the meaning of fiat? Let it be. Basically, print how much ever you want, increase inflation how much ever you want, and the government, the economy is going to keep growing, right? Basically. So a stable coin is a coin which is pegged to a fiat currency, right? Whether it be the US dollar, whether it be the euro, the Chinese yuan, or the Japanese yen. So very basic, simple concept. Now, there are a lot of different types of stable coins, right? There is collateralized stable coin and there is no collateralized stable coin. So like stable coins which do not have any collateral. There are algorithmic stable coins, and then there are just simple stable coins which are out there in the open ecosystem for folks to build applications on, conduct transactions, and at the same time they have collateral, which is their treasury account. So USDC is a completely collateralized stable coin under the federal regulation where every single USDC which is minted has $1 in Circle's treasury account. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you folks have heard about different stable coins out there, right? USDT, DAI, there is UST, which just came out, which also lost their peg recently. And what happens with those stable coins which do not have a peg or do not have a treasury account is that there will not be a good capitalization rate, right? So like when everybody goes on the exchange and tries to withdraw, you'll have limits. You won't be able to withdraw the whole thing. So coming back to stable coins, yes, pegged to a fiat currency. That's the right terminology over here. Yep.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. And like speaking more on the regulation behind stable coins, I know recently it's become a primary agenda with government, especially the US government, now working towards regulating the stablecoin market. And so what are your thoughts on the regulatory attitude towards stablecoins?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And what I believe they should do is that they should definitely regulate it, right? So that we can start accepting more and more startups all across the world as our clients, and more businesses can use stable coins as well, right? Whether it's USDC or our competitors as well. So it's just the matter of time that the Fed really gets in, digs deeper and like builds regulation around it. And what Circle intends to be is a bank, a bank which is open 24/7, 365. You don't have banking hours like Bank of America. And we basically want to make sure that all the money transfer happens frictionless. How many of y'all know that how much time does a wire take to settle? Do y'all know? Go for it.
Isn't it like 3 weeks international?
So international, yeah, but usually every bank has I think like minimum settle time of T+3 business days, right? So every single wire at its minimum is going to take somewhere around 3 business days to 5, depending upon what part of the world you're in, right? And I'm sure everybody here knows how quick blockchain is, right? So USDC, it's a multi-chain stablecoin, right? It was initially built on Ethereum, so it was an ERC20, and then eventually we started to build USDC on different chains like Solana, Stellar, Tron, Hedera, Avalanche. We recently today launched USDC on Flow. So yeah, it's just a matter of time, that what we believe in is that open ecosystem, right? Multi-chain use cases, and transacting on Ethereum is getting expensive. So they really need to think about, what other chain would fit best for a merchant rather. Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's a good point. And so going into like the multi-chain future that Circle seems to be going for, that believes in, what would you say the future of Circle? What lies ahead in terms of, what's there to get done at Circle?
Yeah, no, so
I'm sure there's a lot.
yeah, there's a lot. And trust me, like we're working on it, right? Like we started, I think 2021 with 100 employees and we ended 2022 with 405. And they are, I think, aspiring to close 2022 at around 1,100 employees. So, they want to like increase the workforce by around 120% or to 130%. So, but that's just the employees, right? But like what's happening internally or how are we growing as a company? So I was talking about USDC, right? The stable coin, but if you're not dealing with crypto exchanges, how are you going to use USDC? Is with Circle's 3 APIs, right? Can I remove this by any chance? No. Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, there are 3 API services which Circle provides, right? One is the payments API. And what does the payments API lets you do is that, let's say you have US dollar sitting in your bank account, right? You want to convert that US dollar to USDC. Now, that payments API will enable you to do that. Now, I don't want to confuse you folks, because this is not for individuals. This is for businesses, right? For startups, for crypto exchanges, for money remittance platforms out there. So what they are doing is that they're using the Circle API to convert fiat into USDC. Now, what does that do is that it basically increases the number of people using USDC as well as a method of, transacting online, because we want to be the digital dollar, right? And we do not want to have, boundaries or geographies limited to us, even though, there are regulations in each and every country, which we have to comply with when we are doing wire transfers, ACH, or credit or debit card, as a payment trail. And if you go to see, right, the payments API is really, really helpful for folks sitting even in South Africa, right? Because what they want to do is they just want to have US dollar coin as just in their bank account, or they want to do arbitrage with it, for example, as well. So that's what USDC enables you to do. Because if you want to have a USD bank account in any other country other than United States of America, it's very hard to do that. Like, I'm from India, born and brought up, right? And the only way you can get USD in India is via cash. Straight up, you go to the airport, you give them rupees, and you get USD. Now, what does USDC do is that you can come to the United States with USDC in your wallet and do whatever you'd like to do with it, right? You have your Coinbase card, you swipe that. You have any other card, related, like Voyager, you can swipe that. So that's what I think, is like where we are heading towards. Now, there's an additional API called Payouts Api, right? And what does payout mean? Is that now, let's say you're a business, you have, $1 million in USDC in your treasury account, and you want to convert that USDC into a fiat currency, whether it be Euro or USD. So the Payouts API will enable you to do that, right? We have built this entire infrastructure of APIs to really, make the payments infrastructure more frictionless. Like, that's the goal here. And additionally, there's an accounts API, which, will enable you to like spin up wallets for USDC. You can accept Bitcoin and Ethereum as of today. And, a lot of other companies, what they like to do is that they like to keep their USDC in different wallets. So you have sub wallets, right? And that's what the accounts API enable us to do. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, I think like stable coins are pretty much allowing for cross-border remittances to be like very cheap,
yeah,
very fast too.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's sort of a network effect going on with like USDC, where if more merchants start accepting it, then there will be a point where it's no longer differential from like the US dollar.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And that's, definitely one of our goals here, right? Like, even though today we are not, I would say, the largest stablecoin as per market cap. But what I can say is that we are definitely the largest stablecoin by volume.
Right.
Yep. And like if you have seen the USDC trading volume in the recent days, it's through the charts, and we're getting there. You know, we basically started 2021 with 4 billion in market cap, and I know when I logged onto my laptop the last time, it was 49.84 billion. So about to hit 50 billion tonight, if I'm not wrong. And you know, I'm pretty sure we'll take over our competitors very soon. And that's also due to one of the main reasons that people believe in us, right? And so why don't people believe in USDT is because nobody knows like who's the governing body behind it, right? I understand cryptos, decentralization, you know, autonomous organizations, but when it's coming to USD, a fiat and a stable coin, a lot of merchants and a lot of clients all across the world prefer that to be like a governing body, right? Like in our case, that's Center. So Center is our governing body, which is Coinbase and Circle. And Coinbase and Circle basically, you know, overlooks at USDC. They make sure that, you know, it's always pegged to the dollar. We have monthly attestations, right? With a really big a company who's doing all these attestations for us. And we publish those attestations for the public to see it on a monthly basis. So you can go on circle.com and you can pretty much see each and every single attestation in the previous, like, I guess, 2.5 years, which you have had. So transparency is key here, right? And that's what we believe in, is that we want to be transparent. We want to make sure that, you know, we don't lose that peg to the dollar, right? Because certain algorithmic stable coins can lose peg to the dollar depending upon the trading, right? And a lot of folks take advantage of that. So, you know, I don't think at any certain point I've seen USDC really losing its peg.
Right. And so speaking on like transparency, that seems to be a big advantage that Circle has also with institutions.
Yep.
Because of all the regulations they have to comply with.
Yep.
And so when it comes to like these institutions, you mentioned the USDC having high trading volume.
Yeah.
And so could you say that that could be, you know, more of a bull case for USDC in the future as institutions are hungry to get into the crypto markets, maybe even offer bonds and backed by crypto?
Hey, that's a great question. And I certainly forgot about this other business segment, which I work very closely with, which is called institutional trading partners, right? So all the exchanges out there, Binance, crypto.com, Kraken, Voyager, Coinbase, right? What they do is that they mint USDC and they burn USDC, right? So they're getting USDC, you know, from USD, from their bank accounts, and they're providing liquidity in the market, right? And we have seen this like happening in the past 2.5 years. And right now in the market, you will see that a lot of traders, a lot of day traders are actually converting their cryptos to a stable coin, right? And as a matter of fact, a lot of them are using USDC to trade with because it's widely available in the United States, first of all, and people trust it because of the transparency aspect and the whole regulations aspect, which we follow very, very closely, right? We need to make sure that we are complying with the regulations just so that we don't have any future problems with the government, right? Because the SEC at some point or the other is going to come knocking on everyone's doors, right? And all we can do is that we can prepare, right? Just for what's coming next. Yep.
Yeah. And so when it comes to like stress tests and, you know, making sure you have enough to avoid like a bank run, quote unquote, is that something that Circle undergoes? Is that something you guys look into?
So I don't think that situation ever come across right now, right? Just because, you know, if you're seeing, then what do we do with that $49.8 billion? It's in our bank account, and every single bank account gives you a fixed interest rate, right? And that's always there. And let's say, you know, 1 year down the line, a lot of folks want to convert USDC to USD, right? It's doable. We will let them do that, right? There might be limits on every end user, on how much they can redeem the USD. But it's, we don't want to prevent businesses from doing that. So that is definitely one of our main goals here, is that, even if the market cap drops, let it drop, because we want to make sure that our clients and our end users get what they want. And, let's make sure that we have that money in the bank account to provide them with, because a lot of stable coins, right, don't have that, right? They are not fully backed by a fiat. So being fully backed by a fiat just enables you to, have those high volatility days, whether it's up or down, to be able to cushion that extra liquidity which you need to provide.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so going into CBDCs,
Yeah.
some people are wondering whether, stable coins can coexist with CBDCs.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on
So,
CBDCs?
yeah, no. Have you seen a CBDC? No, even I haven't. So that's why, I mean, when I was joining Circle, one of the questions I had on my end, you'd call a test or something like that to just get an interview, was, how do you think CBDC and USDC will coexist together, right? And let's just go back to the basic of the stable coin, is that CBDC is a central bank digital currency, right? And not all crypto fanatics want a CBDC. They do not want a closed ecosystem. They want an open ecosystem, right? Where you can build applications on, where you can, use multiple chains to conduct transactions on. So, they will definitely coexist together, right? Like CBDC will have a completely different use case than, USDC, because what we have done is that we have enabled any startup, any crypto exchange, any NFT platform today, right? We have so many NFT platforms as a client. Have you heard of Top Shot, Dapper Labs? They use Circle APIs. So every time you swipe a credit or debit card on Top Shot, Dapper Labs, which is even, I think we also have Big Time Studios right now. So swipe a debit or credit card, it goes to the Circle infrastructure. And what we do is that we give them that reliability, right? We provide them with access to different industries and different sectors of business, which I don't think CBDC will enable you to do that, because if they had to do it, they should have started a long time ago, right? And even though, there are big plans of CBDC being there in the future, it's just that how much people are willing to deal with a coin, a digital coin, which has been issued by the central bank, right? Because that's not decentralized then, right? Then you have a proper central government body, really tracking each and every transfers, each and every, payments or payouts. And I think the community as a whole is moving away from that, right? Like we want that sort of decentralization. We want, multiple chains. We want the open ecosystem. We also at the same time, want quick and steady transfers. So how do we do that is by, just leveraging stablecoins. Yep.
Right. And so for the NFT market, which
Yep.
is doing very well, growing by all metrics.
Yeah.
Would you say Circle is sort of like a facilitator of the growth of the NFT market?
Yeah, and so definitely a facilitator for their payments, right? Because a lot of NFT clients we get, they are really good artists, right? They are really good at producing and creating art, but they are not that great at doing payments, right? And what Circle provides them with is an infrastructure to do those payments, right? See, the NFT platform is going to decide what chain they want to use, depending upon which ones are compatible with us, right? And they don't have to use USDC as a method of transferring money, right? They can even have their own stable coin on top of USDC, right? I've seen that happen a lot. So, I think there are Dapper coins, which came out recently, if I'm not wrong. So, every single NFT, it's either an open loop system or a closed loop system, right? A closed loop system is that it's that that NFT platform's coins, and they are, have you guys heard of VV by any chance? Yeah, so VV coins, right? You can't redeem VV coins today. It stays in that closed ecosystem. And an open loop system is OpenSea,
Right.
SolSea. So those type of NFT platforms are completely open, right? Because you have a marketplace. You can sell an NFT, you can buy one, you can bring ETH on MetaMask and do whatever you want to do with it, right? But at the underlying of both these systems, there has to be a way to, I guess, conduct payments, right? Convert USD to a online digital currency or online digital stable coin. And that's where Circle comes in, right? We are helping to bring this traditional banks to the crypto ecosystem.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, so if I'm like a crypto startup,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, the back end, my payments
Yeah.
infrastructure is just a headache,
Yeah.
hard to deal with, especially when you're a new crypto startup. What are some of the services like Circle can offer? Like, just so people here, they have a startup they're thinking about,
Yeah.
or maybe how they can leverage Circle services.
Yeah, no, and in this case, let's assume that you folks have a startup which is up and running. You have the licenses, you're in an LLC. So what would you do? The first step here to really, utilize Circle products is open a Circle account, right? And a Circle account is free. You don't have to pay any subscription cost for a Circle account. And what Circle account enables you to do is that you can mint and burn USDC for free. You can mint, you'll have certain limits, default limits, but whatever your limit is, you can, mint it, burn it, and take that USDC and do whatever you want to do with it. Now let's say you're a startup and you want to, accept fiat, convert it into USDC, and you want to take USDC and convert it back into a fiat currency. So that's when the payments and the payouts API would come into case, right? These prices are online as well. Our payments API is like $1,000 a month. It's a subscription cost. Our payouts API is $250 a month. And we've seen a lot of startups, using just the payouts API because they just want to bring, USDC from the crypto ecosystem and redeem it into a fiat currency. And a lot of folks just use a combination of both because they're just relying on the Circle infrastructure to do the payments and the payouts. Yep.
Yeah, so I hope you all heard that. If you have a startup or anything, contact Circle.
Let me bring another product which has been doing great right now. So there's another product Circle just came out with recently called Circle Yield, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of you folks are aware about staking coins, right? And staking for, a good percentage, better than what the bank would provide you. Now, what Circle Yield does is that Circle Yield will enable businessmen, right, accredited investors, accredited businesses to invest above 100K to on a yield. So like you'll get interest for it's either 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. And we work with Genesis very closely to do this. So, and our first client was Kevin O'Leary. And you can go on his YouTube channel and he vouches for Circle every day. Yep.
Yeah, I remember Kevin O'Leary actually completely 180 in crypto.
Yeah.
Good to see.
Yeah, and what he's trying to say is that when he keeps, $40-50 million in a bank account, he's losing at 7% inflation rate, right? Everybody of not for students, any business, right? They have money in their bank account, they're losing money. So what do we do with it, right? We have a steady fixed income, something that sort, where there is, so Circle Yield, of course, over collateralizes every single, loan which we provide via Genesis to other folks, right? And by over collateralizing mean that we have up to 125% of Bitcoin. So like if you're investing 100K in Circle Yield, Genesis and Circle will work together to make sure there is 125K worth of Bitcoin collateralized to that loan, which we are, going to be providing to other folks via Genesis. So we definitely make sure that, we're on the right track here, because you can get into liquidity pools, you can get into just staking on different exchanges like Celsius, Nexo, which are also our clients. And, you can do that as well if you're not in accredited business, right? But if you're in accredited business, you got to answer to compliance. And compliance is not easy. They're never easy. They want to make sure every single thing is on track, everything is regulated, everything is compliant to all the policies. So that's where, Circle Yield comes into play for accredited businesses. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you provide that yield earning opportunity, especially now given negative rate.
No, it's how many of you guys had some time to watch the Fed hearing recently about interest rate hikes, right? And it's gonna happen, right? And it's gonna happen very soon. And the market is basically, I guess, getting used to the increase of interest rates, and there not being free money in the economy, right? Right now, there's free money. If you have a perfect credit score, you can borrow for really, really cheap, right? But that would not be the case, 2-3 months down the line. So it's going to be a gradual increase, and the market is going to get used to it, right? And so how do you hedge against it? It's just stake stable coins, right? Like no matter what happens, you still have a certain fixed amount of return coming to your cash sitting in the bank account, which can be a stable coin, which you can redeem it at any point you want. So that's just my perspective, rather.
Yeah, no, so like with the option to maybe take Circle USDC and stake them, if you're not an accredited investor, you can also do that.
Yeah.
Access
Celsius, Nexo, right? These two applications, even Voyager, if I'm not wrong, right? You can stake USDC on all of them. Coinbase does not provide that great of a return on staking USDC, but Nexo, Celsius, and Voyager, these three applications have really good rate of returns. I think it's ranging from somewhere between 5 to 9%, depending upon which exchange you go on. So yeah, no, it's a great source of keeping your savings, rather, right? Like if you want if your savings are chilling in the bank account, they'd rather be in USDC on one of these exchanges, which is compliant with the American regulation. And so you'll see that soon all these exchanges are going to become FDIC insured, right? And what FDIC insured means is that in terms, like let's say there is, anything wrong happens with the exchange, your money is insured in there. And you're going to see that happen with a lot of exchanges very, very soon.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that FDIC insured deposits at Circle.
Yep.
So beyond stable coins, what's on Circle's mind? What's the future of Circle beyond stable coins?
So
if there is one.
Yeah, no way. So definitely being number one stable coin is a priority, right? Like we want to make sure that we really work on that, and we are working on that. And additionally, we have these API services for businesses, right? But I think what's next is that DeFi, decentralized finance, right? There's a certain amount of custody which is involved in DeFi, and we're working on that. We want to provide if any startup wants to enter the world of DeFi, they can plug into our API and really do that. So that's definitely one of our next things. And like I mentioned, we want to definitely conquer each and every NFT project which is out there, because we believe in it. We believe in the space. We believe in GameFi. So I don't know how many of you all are following GameFi as well, doing really good. And so if you go to see, it's not just crypto exchanges, right? You mentioned remittance platforms, right? Then there are arbitrage companies. Then there are, NFT platforms. There's GameFi, and then very, very, soon we are starting to see actual asset managers coming into the play, right? Now, like big asset managers are coming to Circle, and they're like, oh, we just want to have USDC. Why? Because that just enables them to enter the world of crypto the minute they want to enter, right? And they have that, a digital dollar like with them already ready to go, so that they don't pay that extra, whatever 2 to 3% when they convert that fiat into a crypto. So, that is definitely, where I'm seeing this going, is that a lot of asset managers are also asking us for it.
Right, and then these same asset managers, when it comes to decentralized finance, I feel like some of them won't be able to custody some of their funds, so they'll actually have to rely on Circle to do that. Is that so? You would provide that custody?
Yeah, so that's what that's something we're currently under the works, right? We, if you know of Fireblocks, right? They are a service which it's a custody platform which enables you to have that USDC in their custody bank account, and you can enter the world of DeFi. You can do whatever you want to do with it, and it's just a matter of time. We increase the number of chains we are supported on, right? We launched Flow today morning, right? And we already see like we have a market cap of somewhere around $10 million of USDC on Flow, even though we are highly dominated still with USDC on ETH, just because the number of startups which were built on ETH are much larger than the number of startups or platforms utilizing Solana or Avalanche or even Tron, Hedera. So if you guys get any time, go to usdc.cool. You'll see what I'm talking about. Each and every single chain is differentiated, and you can see like live how much USDC is doing in market cap. So something to keep an eye out for. Yeah.
I feel like you check that out a lot.
Oh yeah. No, hey, I'm waiting to hit that 50 billion mark. So hopefully tonight, right? Like, and I've seen that, like, there was this, we hit 48 billion last week, and just in the span of next 3 days, we were at 49. And I didn't check this week, and then today morning I logged, it was at 49.84. So I think 50.
I think you hit 50.
Yeah, you never know.
Celebrate early.
Yeah, no. And what that also indicates is that wide usage of USDC all across the globe, right? Because I'm a customer success manager. So what I do is that I help these startups onboard. I make sure that these startups are able to use our API services, right? And for all the technical folks here, you all know that API services or API is not that easy, right? You need some help from the company to get you up and running. So I'm the advocate at that stage. And most of the startups I work with, right, I would say probably 1 out of 5 or 2 out of 5 are in the United States, and all the other are either in Hong Kong, Taiwan, Estonia, Europe, right? So it's not just like folks in the United States are using USDC. Everybody wants to use it, right? If you go to see, I think 70% of USDT is used in Asia. Yeah,
that's a large.
Yeah. I mean, there are reasons for it, but that's what I've like seen as per the last time I checked. So what our goal is to be here is like not have any boundaries or any borders to businesses, because if we can do that, like a lot of people are going to start using USDC as just a method of transferring money from one part of the country to another country, and that's what we want to do as well.
Right. Yeah. And speaking so around the world, I feel like people don't truly understand how important it is to have settlement assurances with your money, because you mentioned you grew up in India.
Yeah.
I grew up in Lebanon. And
nice.
I think last week someone robbed the bank to collect their own funds. So let that sink in. They robbed the bank for their own money.
Yeah.
That's a strong use case for something like stablecoin. And so, it feels like, as inflation, hyperinflation in specific is rising across the world.
Yep.
I feel like the dollarization that USDC provides is also important.
Yeah, and one of the use cases which even I've seen personally is like, I'm pretty sure you all know what's happening in Venezuela, right? And a lot of startups are coming out of Venezuela where they just want to buy USDC and store it. It's their hedge against hyperinflation, right? Because the dollar might have experienced like somewhere around 6.4 to 7% inflation this year. That's still not bad compared to the other South American countries, right? So a lot of South American countries are buying USDC to even conduct those FX, because there are certain days if it's up and certain days it's down. So having that dollar and doing FX with it has, some people have found businesses out of it, and some people are actually just saving money in US dollars today by USDC. Yep.
Nice. And so like with foreign exchange, that's a really cool side that I didn't actually think about. What about maybe stock trading? Like, I know this one's a bit weird, but I know that stocks trade T+2 settlement.
Yep.
So maybe and I know companies like Paxos are working to offer same-day settlement. Is a stable coin part of the recipe to get same-day settlement?
Yeah. So, why does any transaction you do today, right? Whether it's stocks, it's via bank transfer, why does it take T+2 or T+3 business days? It's because there are a lot of I don't want to make this complicated, but there are a lot of governing bodies in between actually doing this process. So like, let's say you go to, Wollaston's, you swipe your card, right? It takes about like 3 seconds or 1 second sometimes to like actually get that approved message out. And what's happening in that 1 second or 3 seconds, there's a lot of things going on, right? Trust me, there's a lot going on. And that this settlement partner of who's settling that money is not charging you. He's charging Wollaston's like 2.9% plus 30 cents. So what I think, is preventing faster settlement times from happening are these governing bodies, right? Because they want to be compliant with certain rules. They want to be compliant with certain regulations. And if we don't innovate in that space, we are going to be lacking. And that's where blockchain comes, right?
Right.
We make sure there are faster settlement times. And if Paxos really cracks it, I'd be happy to see it. But I don't think yet we will see this stock quicker settlement time, because it's dealing with the legacy system. Even though you are trying to make it faster, you're bound to stay in the legacy system, which is stocks. Stocks are legacy, right? And so are bonds. They're all a legacy. And even though Robinhood made it quicker, right? Like getting a Robinhood card, 0% whatever commission on trading. But even Robinhood, right? For example, their prices are not the prices you'd get from a broker. They are slightly inflated, right? They and they have their book, right? They have their range of like whatever price they want to like put out in the market. Even for cryptos, it's higher than what you would see on Coinbase as well at certain points. So that's how they make their money, right? At the end of the day, I would say we need these legacy systems to innovate and like break out of that slow settlement time, but it's baby steps.
Right.
It's going to take some time.
I see. It's like a house with bad piping underneath.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those houses which was built in Boston in the 1900s, and folks are still using it. And so that's why you can hear all the squeaking noises when you walk on it as well. Yeah. So yeah, no, and renovating a house in Boston is expensive. I was in Northeastern for 5 years. COVID happened, and I moved down to Florida. Right, life was amazing. Like I was having a great time. I was in Key West. I was warm weather, slides all day, and then my partner, she got a job in Arizona, so we moved to Arizona. So I drove from Florida to Arizona, which was like another 36 hours. And life in Arizona was fucking amazing. I won't lie, like it was great. Like it was so cheap. It was great. I was, and to be honest, like Arizona is like a mini California, just a lot hotter. And then I was like, I got a job at Circle, and I was like, shoot, I'm gonna go back to Boston now. So I came back here, and then when I come back here, I'm like, damn, things are really old here. And that's not that's nothing you can do with that, like, do about, because that's how this entire infrastructure was built, right? That's how these houses were built. That's how the entire banking system in America was built. That's how the entire payments infrastructure was built in the United States. And it's going to take a lot of renovation to improvise it, when you break down a house, you got to pay about like what, 150, 200K to like, build something brand new. And that's just the house. So when you're talking about the payments infrastructure, it's going to take some time, like probably 5 years, unless some another country like India comes ahead and like, takes over. Because if you're going to see, India definitely recently declared a budget surplus last week. So one of the few countries to do that. And I think there's, even though cryptos are to an extent, I guess, not allowed in India to a certain extent. I don't know what the rules, I haven't been back in 3 years. So I think, certain countries are definitely fighting for that as well. Like, how do we improvise our payments infrastructure, right? How do we make it quicker? How do we make it more efficient? And that's why China is really, really keen on CBDC, right? And that's because like the Chinese government can have, all control over it. They want to make sure that it's quick, fast, seamless. And, once they adopt to it, once they build it out, I'm pretty sure people are going to use it, right? If it gives you faster settlement time from a Chinese yuan to USDC, folks are going to use it, right? So it's, a race right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of like skipping certain stages of the race, I know India skipped landline pretty much, up straight to mobile, and that's done wonders for India. Do you think a country is going to do the exact same thing where their payments infrastructure might be somewhat weak, and so they're just going to skip over on like the fintech stage and go straight to blockchain?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of companies are doing that. A lot of startups are doing that as well, right? Like a lot of startups, like 3-4 years ago, if they have not heard about blockchain cryptos, they're certainly taking a look at it right now, right? And no matter if it's fintech or edtech or regtech, whatever, any startup dealing with technology today is looking into crypto or blockchain, right? And why? Is because of, yes, there are smart contracts, there's, transparency, even when it comes to like safety of keeping your data safe, right? Blockchain is really good at it. So a lot of medical companies are utilizing, smart contracts to save their data on other chains just to like ensure that it cannot be hacked into, right? Other than the person who's supposed to access it. So, I think slowly, but eventually we will see a lot of sectors just, digging their feet inside crypto and blockchain. And I'm pretty certain most of them are going to want a stable coin.
Yeah, no, that's what it's looking like.
Yeah.
And so for the students here who are looking to, get more involved in the circle, what advice or what tips can you give them?
Yeah, no, definitely. That's a great question. And like I mentioned, we are hiring. We had 405 now. They want to go to 1,100 by the end of this year. So a lot of jobs. And let me divide this into two parts, right? Engineers, right? Recent grad engineers, masters, undergrad, a lot of jobs open, right? We are planning to have a recent grad hire program coming out very soon. And you can see all the jobs available on circle.com, the careers page, everything's there. And non-technical students, so the business folks, right? There are a lot of jobs on the revenue team. I'm on the revenue team. So that can range from like a sales development representative, some account executive positions open, some CSM positions open as well. But CSM is, 2-3 years down the line. But yeah, a lot of positions open. Just apply. And if you're serious about it, send me a message on LinkedIn. I'll refer you, right? And that just like creates a certain amount of, I guess, warm touch in Circle as well. So shoot me over a message, Rajdeep Abroad on LinkedIn, and, more than happy to help anybody. Yep.
Oh, yeah. So questions?
Yeah, I got a question. So, how, CBDC Circle, I would kind of consider those like centralized stablecoins to a degree.
Mhm.
How do you kind of think about like the dichotomy between centralized and sort of DeFi, where like, if you, like Circle can basically like blacklist certain USDCs and kind of take them out of supply. And so like, how do you kind of see that dichotomy kind of playing out in the future?
Yeah, no, and that's a great question because DeFi is definitely like, an open financial world, right? You can go without an SSL and borrow money or lend money. And the only, Circle follows KYC very strictly, right? Just due to the nature of the whole crypto business. And I'm pretty sure CBDC is going to do the same, right? There's going to be some stringent KYC processes. So, and, I can talk about Circle, which is like, we can blacklist addresses, we can blacklist certain accounts, right? If a businesses want, because like, let's say there's a startup, they've had bad experience with a bank account previously, and we provide them with that fraud management, right? We provide them with even certain, I guess, suggestions on how they can reduce their risk as a merchant, reduce their liability, because a lot of scams happen in the crypto space, and all we can do is just prepare for it, like how do we be a step ahead rather?
Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
You go.
Yeah, go for it. I saw him. Yeah.
Just to that, the same question, like recently there was a freezing funds of like 160 million.
Yeah.
So just like I'm kind of curious, like where would that funds go? Like how would you utilize them, or like what would you do?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And when let's say like there's a hack, right, of $160 million, and somebody managed to take it out of the platform, right? They have distributed to different exchanges. And what can you do? Certainly not a lot, right? Because what you can do is you can block those addresses from withdrawing further. You can block that address from doing future transactions. But how can Circle, I guess, play a...
I mean, each USDC is backed by a dollar, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just asking, like, I'm just curious about the funds that are sitting, which are backed by those $160 million.
Yeah.
So nobody would come and try to claim them. So like what, like, is there something like a plan sort of thing? Or like, I'm just curious about that.
Yeah. So, I guess I'm not understanding your question good, because let's say if that money's there, right? The 160 million, they have not withdrawn it. So that 160 million USD in Circle's account is going to stay there.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing's going to happen to it. As soon as he withdraws it and redeems it, that's when we burn it. Like that's when we take that USD out. And in this case, right now, we require each and every business to have a reserve account in case of these, like hacks or scams or whatever there is. And a lot of times what we do is that we just stop that address from transacting further by communicating with the exchange that money is lying on, right? Like now, let's say that money hypothetically is on Binance, right? So what we will do is that we'll talk to Binance, we'll let them know that something like this has happened, and we will make sure that, stringent processes are in place to make sure that that money cannot be withdrawn and is given back to the merchant, because it was the merchant's money, right? So yeah, it can get more complicated, right? Like depending upon where the money came from, who actually owns it. So Circle does not play a big part in, I guess, managing those scams. It's rather on the merchant or the exchange to do it. All we do is mint and burn. Yeah, go for it.
But before, just to be cautious of time, we are hitting the 7 o'clock mark. So if you need to leave, feel free to exit this room just quietly. But if you want to stay, you can continue discussion. But yeah, also people on the Zoom, if you need to leave. Sorry.
I didn't know I was talking for that long.
Yeah, so just adding on to that, do you see Luna's UST as direct competition, or is it like a different product market fit?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and definitely a competitor, right, in this case, because they're trying to do something very similar to what we are trying to do, but on an algorithmic basis, right? And this is something I noticed last week. you know that USD lost its peg, right? Last week, a lot of people took advantage of it. A lot of people shorted Luna when it just happened, and they made money. And so it just really comes down to how reliable it is, right? When you want to convert that UST to USD, like what capitalization rate do you have? 13%, 14, 15, 16, right? Most of the banks in the United States have a 16% capitalization rate, and that is great in the United States, right? So coming back to your question, right? They are a competitor, right? And we definitely, have them on our radar. We closely, watch. But I would say Circle definitely has a key advantage to, not being an algorithmic stable coin, because we are providing our clients with that reliability and that transparency at the same time, right? That they can feel safe and secure that in the middle of the night, USDC won't lose their peg. Any other questions? Yeah, sorry, go for
I'm
it.
very new to this, so my questions may bore you.
No.
So USDC is basically a stable coin, so it's backed by fiat, like you say, like real money. So like basically Circle has like a bank account with like the cash. So whenever people use the API to pay out, they can redeem it from that. So two questions. Like first is when you talk about global, like the global use of it, like if you're from India going to America, in the past way you have to go to some guy to like exchange the cash. But now you say with Circle API, you can just basically transfer from rupee to a USDC that you can use, and you can even redeem it as dollars. But like I don't know about India, but like in my country in Vietnam, if you want to exchange your currency to USD, you need to have like paperwork and you need to have reasons, like because they want to protect their currency. So like how do you go over on a best like?
So I'm going to take India in this case, right? Because I know about it. I've not dealt a lot with Vietnam recently. So let's take India right now. Let's say there is an Indian rupees bank account, right? And that Indian rupee bank account is going to send a transfer to a Circle bank account, which is in the United States, right? Now, Silvergate, which is our banking bank, they're going to take that money, right? They're going to take the Indian rupees, they're going to do the FX and convert it into USD. And so that's how we give USDC back, if that makes sense. Right? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. So like in India, it seems like there's no like constraint on when you. Maybe.
Yeah. So depends. We support 87 countries right now, right? So there are still we don't support, and depending upon which country you are and how, I guess the ease of doing international transfers, right? It really depends on the country you're living in, right? So. I've seen a lot of bank transfers from Singapore, Hong Kong, right? DBS Bank, HSBC, work very closely with Standard Chartered as well. So all these banks, what they do is that they send us, whatever currency they're using. So Singapore dollar, Hong Kong, and what our settlement bank does is that it takes that Hong Kong dollar or the Singapore dollar, converts it into USD, takes that FX rate, and issues that much amount of USDC, right? Because we'll take that USD, put it in our treasury account and issue that USDC. So the FX is all on the settlement bank. And what we are doing is that, okay, let's say now you hold USDC on your phone and you want to convert it back into the Singapore dollar, right? So you're gonna initiate a payout by, the wallet, whatever
So
platform
you can
you're
choose
using.
the payout to be either USD or Singapore like currency.
So yeah, it's so that USDC, right, which is USD in our bank account, we're gonna send it to DBS, and DBS will do the FX and give you Singapore dollars, right? So that's how we can cover a lot of different currencies and countries. Recently, we added a payment rail in Europe called SEPA, right? How many of you all know ACH? ACH.
It's transfer.
Yeah, ACH. You know what? Let me give you an example. Zelle is ACH to an extent, but it's just quicker. ACH transfers is domestic in the United States, right? And it's like somewhere around T+1 business day settlement time. And that same ACH is called SEPA in Europe. It has a partnership with like the entire, EU banks that they're going to do faster transaction and faster settlement times. And what we do is that we help convert USDC directly into euros and euro directly into USDC.
You mentioned certain exchanges and sharing their deposits with the government. Does Circle have any plans to move in that direction?
I have no idea. Like how I wish I could answer that question better, but
You guys are still partnered with another bank.
yeah. So we have 2 banks whom we partner with in the United States: Silvergate and Signature. So Signet, right? And these 2 banks are basically custody banks who hold our USD, right, and help enable us to do those transfers. So I'm pretty sure all of y'all, like, I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with JA, so Jeremy Allaire. He has the money movement, right? The money movement. And that's where he talks about how the government, how does he want to work with the government and how does he aspire the government to set regulations around this as well. Yeah, go for it.
So typically a customer of like a traditional bank, when we deposit money, like Bank of America, for example, will lend that out at a higher rate than they give to us.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like a way of them maintaining minimum margins.
Yep.
So I think you mentioned that at Circle, every dollar of USDC is backed by like one, fiscal dollar.
Yep.
And so is all of that money just being, sit into a reserve account? It's not being loaned out to anyone. It's not being, no transactions are happening on that.
No. So the max, I would say, if you even see the attestations, right? We have taken that money and put it into short-term bonds. So like 1 year, 3 year, 6 months, right? And we have not lent that money out to anybody, which, like on every dollar you deposit, I think on every 80 cents you deposit in an American bank, they lend out $1.
Then how are you paying out like staking yields, for example? So how are you?
Staking USDC on
Right.
different exchanges or the Circle Yield product?
I guess the Circle product would be an example. Yeah. How would you pay out like a higher yield?
Great. So what we do is that, see, let's say we get that USD, right? Somebody wants to get, send us 100K USD. We'll give them 4.5% in 6 months. And we are not borrowing that money. We are doing it with Genesis. Genesis is it's a platform for accredited investors to go borrow and lend money on in the crypto space. And they help us do that. We over-collateralize the loans. And there's a very, stringent agreement and process to make sure that, each and every single loan is over-collateralized. Yeah.
That's the same. Okay, so I have a question. Like when you say like a lot of asset managers trying to convert it into USDC because to protect against inflation. So it's kind of the same question, right? Like how, because it's one USDC is equal $1. So if it's inflated, then like how does it catch up? Basically?
Yeah. So let's take the case here of 100K in Circle Yield. It will give you somewhere around, I think, if I'm not wrong, 5.5 to 6%, right? Your bank won't give you that much. So you're losing on that interest, right? And inflation is at like 6.5 to 7% a year. So that 100K, which was in your bank account, is still going to be 100K. Probably in the 6 months, it's going to be $60 less because of the $10 fee they charge you every single month. But with USDC, if you're doing that Circle Yield product, you'll have 106,000. Does that make sense?
Is the yield product, is that fixed or is it variable?
No, it's fixed. It's decided upon the time of investment.
Okay.
So the minute you invest and you're done with your term, you reinvest, and every single term you have a.
Okay, so you guys are just kind of like.
Yeah, we're just the facilitators.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we are not lending it out. We are not,
So it could be like 6%, it could be 4%, it could be.
anything.
2%.
Yeah, we work very closely with Genesis to do that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So in terms of
Circle. It sounds like they offer a lot more like traditional banking services, but like Ethereum, crypto, and USDC adoption, you need like larger businesses not just like switch a lot of accounts and, like enter the market. So with that, like say tomorrow a client like GE or something came, and say tomorrow like a client like GE came, or like something like Apple, where like they have something like $20-30 million on their balance sheet and they want to mint, right? So first, is there like an upper limit on minting? And then the second question would be in terms of USDC. Say you have a client like Apple mint $20 billion, right?
Yeah.
That's 50% of the current market cap on ETH. And so if you're pegged to the dollar, obviously investors will see that as moving away from the dollar. That'll affect foreign exchange in terms of USD to a lower amount. But USD would be a lower amount, but USDC would increase in value. So how would that affect your peg? And also in that mint condition, what does that upper limit look like?
Yeah, no, so that's a great question because, I haven't yet seen I don't think Circles have rejected a company for minting USDC yet, right, up on the upper limit. But what I can say is that we have increased a lot of limits, right, like just to make sure that, we can mint what our client is asking us for. And at the same time, we give them the burn limit as well, right? Like there are some heavy burners and there are some heavy minters, right? And they balance out to an extent. And, now to your second part of the question, now let's say, we are putting a US dollar in a bank account for every one USDC we are minting out. And, the market cap of USDC just like goes 4x in the next 1 week or 2 weeks. And what would happen to the trade system, right? Now, let's also keep in mind that US dollar, right, which is in a bank account, is in a treasury. It is still US dollar, right? And it is being put in like some, fixed income, investment, like 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, right? And what's that doing is that it's not removing the US dollar from the economy, right? There's still US dollar. And even if people are trading with USDC, that same US dollar will get burned and minted, right? So it is basically the US dollar. It's just US dollar on the internet, right? And that's why I like to call it digital dollar, if that makes sense, right? And I don't think it affects the economy to the extent where you're thinking it would. Why? Because there's not going to be only minting. There's always going to be burning as well.
I don't think a follow-up. I was kind of thinking, we're seeing sort of a larger adoption of USDC in America and more developed countries, but with countries like India that are still developing.
Yeah.
Do you think that the potential mitigant is sort of, as society gets more educated or, there's lower like parts of the poverty system, et cetera, do you think kind of the mitigant is the fact that it's harder to educate? At that point, you have to set up the necessary infrastructure. So whereas it's easier for everyone because, a lot of people have access to the internet, et cetera.
Yeah.
Countries like India or say the developing regions of Asia, areas like that will probably see a lot longer, maybe 10, 20 years horizon.
Yeah. And, I would say like India is catching up pretty quick, right? And let's talk about other developing countries here as well. Like, for example, let's take into case, South Africa, developing at its quick pace, right? Brazil as well. And they are actually, what they're doing is that they're skipping that part of going to fintech and going straight to blockchain, and like, because if you go to see in India, the fintech is the payment part of fintech is already pretty much well developed, right? You have Paytm, Google Pay, and I don't know, 10 other applications which you can use to even pay a vendor on the street. So India already did that. A lot of developing countries already did that. And how did they do that is because, while America was developing its technology and its infrastructure, they just took the higher piece of it, the higher technology, and implemented in their country, right? And that just gave them like a stepping stone to like go one step ahead. And now what we're going to see is that other cryptos and blockchains, right, technology, they're coming in full force right now in India. More and more developers are learning how to code in different chains, right? And once more and more developers learn how this thing works, it's just going to keep getting better. And, even though right now, United States dominates the whole crypto market today, the industry, there are still a lot of countries where there's really good startups. There is a whole different wide use case, which is not here and it's there. And but that's the whole point of crypto, right? We don't want boundaries, we don't want borders, right? To restrict the money to flow. And I think it's just a matter of time when, I guess blockchain as a whole becomes widely used. If it's for like a stable coin or for crypto, right? Yeah, go for it.
Do you see like a lot of companies now accepting Bitcoin as like transaction, right?
Yeah.
But I think the advantage that stable coins like USDC has is that it's not volatile like Bitcoin is. So moving kind of from traditional finance to, it's kind of bridging the gap between traditional finance and like cryptocurrency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I see a big use case in adopting stable coins to be actually used directly with vendors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like are you guys making any products in regarding to
Yeah, and we are actually working with a lot of startups who do that, right? There are some startups who just want to pay their employees in the United States in USD and they don't want to use transferwise or revenue, right? And they're using a Payouts Api to just pay their employees in the United States. So, and how many of you have heard of like Coinbase Commerce, right? And so yeah, and so there's Coinbase Commerce. You can use their API to accept cryptos, right? Shopify also has that plugin for you to do that, and that's something we are definitely looking into right now. Not yet like really did our feet inside that, but our main goal always over here is USDC and increasing the usage of USDC.
I mean, like going to Starbucks and just paying with USDC instead of US dollar.
I would love that. Like, hey, no, trust me.
That simple, just like a tap on your phone.
But
that way, or
coming back to your question, isn't that easy right now?
Isn't USDC like taxed as like capital? Like, isn't it like if you buy it and you sell it, like isn't it taxed as if like it's a property because it's like a crypto?
Yeah, no, that's a great question as well.
I mean, your cap gains are zero because it's a stable coin.
Yeah, and see, that's why a lot, like even though a lot of startups are using USDC as a method of paying employees, today in the United States, it's just that we are waiting for regulation to catch up. Straight up, like we want them to regulate us, and we want to become a bank. So the sooner they do, the better it is for us. But yeah, I'm just waiting. Yeah.
I think we're good to stop here, and then I can pause on Zoom as well. If you have any questions, just feel free to, if you have time.
Yeah, I'm here for another 15-20 minutes. So
Awesome,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you.
Remember, governance, if you're interested in joining governance, the application is due tonight. So ask Yvonne if you have any questions.
You guys want to talk to disrupt people? They're over in that corner, so feel free to chat, learn more about the debate in their other applications.